Hello. Good day, everyone. In today's tutorial, I will just talk about the biological function of proteins. Remember, we've talked about quite a number of protein functions, so I do not have to take much time on this. But proteins are found in biological system and they have diverse role. In our introduction, we talked about amino acids, and we said amino acids exist in form of a polymer to form a protein. But what is the function of this protein? Yeah, this protein can be a membrane protein, but the membrane protein can serve a lot of function. A membrane protein can serve as a channel, an opening through which substances can get in or outside of. Because the cell membrane, and the cell membrane being impermeable, it doesn't allow substances to get in and out unless if those substances are very small and hydrophobic in nature, they can easily find their way. So very small molecules can avoid. When molecule is a bit bigger, therefore that molecule need a transporter. So that transporter molecule, in most cases, we are proteins. All the cases, we are actually proteins. So they can be proteins. They can be ion channels that allow the movement of ions in and out of the membrane. So you can even have some receptors or some proteins serving as a receptors where you have the binding of some specific molecules to instigate or to trigger a signaling process inside the cells. There are some drugs that have been targeted to bind to some certain receptors. Upon binding, they can trigger some sequence of signaling process that can lead to either gene expression or that can lead to quite a number of biological changes in the system. So some proteins are also biocatalysts, popularly called an enzymes, although we know that there are some enzymes that are not proteins, that are virtually many enzymes are proteins. So, and we know proteins or enzymes are biocatalysts, and biocatalysts are those substances that facilitate the formation of chemical reactions. So the next one is hormones. Hormones are chemical signaling substances or chemical signaling molecules that are being produced. They can be endocrine, they can be exocrine. But what is their main function is to trigger a signal. It's to tell a cell, to tell the environment that this is happening or this is what is need to happen as a message. Then we have blood proteins. The blood proteins like the globin proteins, the hemoglobin that is involved in transportation of oxygen, like the albumin that is involved in transportation of quite a number of substances inside the blood, nutrients included, drugs included, etc. So these transport proteins are considered, and there are quite a number of transport proteins like transitivin, everything, or those storage proteins as well that can be used to store ions, can be used to store quite a number of things. Nuclear proteins are proteins that are formed or that form a conjugate to nucleic acid. And most of these proteins, nuclear proteins, exist in the nucleus where they form, some of them form part of the transcription factors, elements that can easily bind to DNA, while some form different functions. So we have some enzymes, some proteins that serve as an antibiotic role. To give an example of gramidin else, thyrosidine, and penicillin G, they are all peptides, amino acid sequence that serve to bind to microorganisms, and this trigger the death of these organisms. Well, we're not here to talk about the mechanism through which they facilitate these functions, but in most cases, you will find out that they either bind to cause the trigger breakage on cell membrane of these bacteria, or they bind to trigger the breakage of this cell wall of the bacteria contain a cell wall. Or in some cases, you find some of these antibiotics, peptides, they bind to prevent the activity of some crucial enzymes that are involved in proliferation or rather multiplication of these bacterial cells. So this is the summary of the biological function of proteins. Please take your time and read more about biological functions of proteins. Thank you.